Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell episode 15. Take it away to Marty to begin with.
Alright, yeah. So, this past weekend for wrestling was pretty crazy as we had multiple pay-per-views throughout the weekend. Because not only did we have NWA Hard Times 2, we also had a GCW show, but we also had Triple Mania, which, if you guys have been paying attention to the podcast, I've mentioned before that I would like to see FTR start defending their titles more in Mexico. They actually did. I believe they went up against the Lucha Brothers in Mexico. But this weekend and this week we're going to be talking MLW, Impact, and NWA. So, really the only...
And AAW, as always.
Yes, and AEW. But my notes have MLW, Impact, and NWA. And the only MLW we have is just who won the Opera Cup. And that is Davey Richards. And I kind of figured that would happen, honestly, because they would not have brought Davey Richards back from retirement, essentially, to just have him lose the Opera Cup. So, Davey Richards won the Opera Cup. He defeated Tom Lawler in the first round, Bobby Fish in the second round, and TJP in the finals. So, quite the run there in MLW for one Davey Richards. Next, we go up to Impact, and we have Moose wants Matt Cardona to think about wanting to fight him for the Impact World title. And then it comes to a brawl with Eddie Edwards coming down for the save. Then we cut to a segment with Violent by Design backstage. They're on a mission to be more violent. Then we go to a backstage segment with Scott D'Amore and a bunch of the Knockouts. So next week he will announce the 6 competitors that will compete in the Knockouts Ultimate X match at Hard to Kill. So next up we have a match between Matthew Raywald and Chris Sabin, which during the match, Mickie James and Deonna Purrazzo come to blows. Deonna Purrazzo was sitting at ringside on commentary, and she headed to the ring. Mickie James came down to stop her, and it led to a brawl. But back to the action. Chris Sabin beat Matthew Raywalt. Next up, we have a match between... We have the in-ring debut of Jonah. He beat Jay Vidal, which nobody cares about Jay Vidal. So then we cut to Jonah cutting a promo. Jonah wants Josh Alexander. And, more importantly, he wants the Impact World Championship. So then we go backstage again, and Steve Macklin and Trey Miguel come to blows. Then there was a lot of backstage stuff and segments for Impact this week. We have Moose saying he will give W. Morrissey a shot at the world title if he helps keep Matt Cardona away from it, which we will get into that later. Next, we have a match between Rachel Ellering and Savannah Evans. Rachel Ellering beats Savannah Evans. Then we cut to a tag team match between Rich Swan and Willie Mack versus BBD. Rich Swan and Willie Mack beat Violent by Design, but they beat Rich Swan and Willie Mack down after the match. So next week is our list of matches. We have Deonna Purrazzo and Matthew Raywalt versus Mickie James and Chris Sabin announced. The Inspiration and the Influence versus Decay next week. We have Eric Young versus Rhino in a street fight. And then we get to the main event. Matt Cardona and Eddie Edwards beat W. Morrissey and Moose. But what happened after the match might shock you. W. Morrissey lays out Moose. He is done with Moose. Next up we go to NWA Hard Times 2 results. So, the pre-show had 3 matches. The first of the pre-show matches was Anthony Mayweather defeating Jack Stane. Then we cut to the women's tag team titles in a triple threat. The Hex, the current women's tag team champions, they retained. Then we get to the junior heavyweight title tournament, that gauntlet qualifier. Homicide was the winner. He advances to the finals. Now we get into the main card. Now we get into the main show. Austin Aries and Rhett Titus in the junior heavyweight title tournament. Austin Aries beats Rhett Titus. Next up, we have the Ring of Honor tag team titles on the line. OGK versus Aaron Stevens and Kratos. OGK retained. And then we have the United States return of the UK wrestling legend Doug Williams. He went up against Colby Corino. Now the finish to this match actually shocked me. Colby Corino beat Doug Williams. I for sure thought that Doug Williams was gonna win his return to the United States match, but he did not. Next up, we have the Impact Knockouts title on the line. Mickie James versus Kiera Hogan. And as I expected, Mickie James ended up winning the match, but there was still that belief that maybe Kiera Hogan would do it. Maybe she could win the Knockouts title, but Mickie James bested her. Next up, we have the NWA television title match, Titus versus Swan, with no DQs and no time limits. Titus beat Swan. Next up, there was an appearance from the hardcore legend himself, Bang Bang, Mick Foley, and he was all in the Christmas spirit, as he would be. He is a very big Santa lover. Next up, we have the National Championship on the line. Chris Adonis versus Judas, and Chris Adonis made Judas pass out to retain the National Championship. Next up, we have the NWA Tag Team titles on the line. La Rebellion versus The End, and La Rebellion beat The End to retain. But who came out after the match? Dirty Dango and JTG. For those of you that may not know, Dirty Dango, formerly Fandango in WWE. So Dirty Dango and JTG want those tag team titles. Next up, we have the grudge match with nobody allowed at ringside, and if either man gets disqualified, they will be suspended for 2 months. Nick Aldis versus Tom Latimer. Nick Aldis ended up beating Tom Latimer. Then we cut to a very special in-ring tribute to Jazz, which it was very touching. There were all the women surrounded at ringside. Jazz was in the ring with her husband Rodney Mack, and it was just a very, very fitting, very emotional tribute to who is otherwise one of the greatest women's wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of wrestling boots. Jazz, thank you. Next up, we have the NWA Women's title match between Camille and Melina. Camille retained. Then we cut to the main event. Trevor Murdoch versus Mike Knox for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that was a match that, just hearing those two names alone and what they're going after, I would have never... If you would have told me 10 years ago that Trevor Murdoch would face Mike Knox for the NWA World's title, I probably would have called you crazy. But here we are. In 2021, Trevor Murdoch is facing Mike Knox for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, and Trevor Murdoch retained. But what happened after the match? Who comes out and wants the NWA World's Heavyweight title? Matt Cardona. Which, Matt Cardona is, he's been making the rounds as of late in the wrestling business and just wherever he goes, because not only does he want the Impact World title, Now he wants the NWA World Heavyweight title. Say, so to put it in layman terms, Matt Cardona just wants to win a world title. It is the one thing that has eluded him his entire career, just in general, in wrestling. It has eluded him his entire career. Now he wants a world championship.
As you should. Alright, we go on to the AEW side of things. AEW got a little interesting in Rampage, or Dynamite and Rampage. As to no surprise, Bryan Danielson beats Allen Angels in his hometown. And next week, we actually have a Dark Order member that is from Long Island, New York. And I found this interesting. John Silver is actually from Long Island, New York.
Yes. He was trained by Brian Myers.
Yeah. So John Silver ends up coming down. Bryan Danielson says...
I'm sorry. John Silver was not trained by Kurt Hawkins. He was trained by Mikey Whipwreck.
Oh. John Silver ends up coming down after the match. Well, actually, Adam Hangman Page is on commentary watching this whole match. Bryan Danielson beats Allen Angels and still beats him down. And then Hangman Page is like, I've had enough. Well, apparently, Tony Khan, who has made it official, as Marty was right all along, winter is coming. They will officially be wrestling each other for the World Heavyweight Championship. I
figured it would be winter is coming. I mean, there was no more fitting venue.
Right.
Well, not venue, but there was no better setting to have Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page than winter is coming.
Well,
but what's interesting to note is Bryan Danielson stated on Twitter, and he is right. Last year's Winter is Coming did see a new champion, so
yeah,
we
that's
potentially
when
Kenny Omega. That was when Kenny Omega defeated John
Moxley to become the longest reigning AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
So could we see Bryan Danielson repeat history?
I don't know about that. I think it's too early for Adam Hangman Page to lose the title. But then again, he could be a transitional champion. Who the hell knows? But John Silver, again, I'm going to say this. John Silver comes down after the match. Bryan Danielson says that this has got to be a joke. He's not worth my time this week. Apparently, Tony Khan put into effect that Adam Hangman Page in Atlanta couldn't touch Bryan Danielson. If he did, he would have gotten fined or suspended. I don't remember exactly what it was. But John Silver's like, you can't touch him, but I can touch him. And then goes down the ring. And then Bryan Danielson's like, no, this is a joke. You're a joke. Adam Hangman Page is a joke. And while it sets up a match between, John Silver and Bryan Danielson, before Winter is Coming, which is now next Wednesday, as we are recording this on a Monday, when this episode airs, it'll be 1 week until Winter is Coming in Garland, Texas. Bryan Danielson said it was Dallas, Texas. I don't know if it's anywhere close to Dallas, Texas at all. I'm not from the Texas area or Dallas, Texas area, so I wouldn't know if Garland, Texas is anywhere close to Dallas, Texas. Of course, anybody that is watching this from Texas can please let me know if it is or not. Because I when he said Dallas, I was like, it's Garland, Texas. I don't know if it has any relationship to it, but I think he would know more than I would. Let us know in
the comments.
But, yeah. So they're going to go up against each other, and then the title match will be the week afterwards, which I am definitely looking forward to. I think they've built it up really, really well. I don't know if there's going to be exactly a title change yet, but Bryan Danielson does seem like the right opponent to beat Adam Hangman Page for the World Heavyweight title, because now the question I'm going to have is, if you do see Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Heavyweight title, is he gonna bring back the whole Planet's Champion? Are we gonna see that in AEW?
In a sense, I hope so.
The other question I have is, if it does happen in AEW, is it the right move for AEW to have him be that Planet's Champion?
Honestly, if he does become the Planet's Champion, I just want to see an eco-friendly AEW World Championship. But I know people would be like, oh, he's just doing his WWE thing. Yeah, but that was entertaining. Like, that's the thing, too, is like, you know, when it's entertaining and it works, that's when you have quality television.
I hope AEW doesn't. Because AEW is like a whole different company than WWE is. Don't get me wrong, as a late AEW with weekly television, I mean, it hasn't really been exactly the greatest last few weeks. I can understand, it's still early.
They have a lot to balance.
You still have a lot to get past. I mean, you don't really have to rush, certain stuff to make it look good for things. I mean, you still have some time before the next pay-per-view. But right now, I mean, it's not exactly the best. But, again, I mean, it's still something. But what I found interesting, there was the next segment, it was Miro kind of just like in a blank white screen. Kind of looked like he was in heaven. He said he finally got word from his God. Instead of showing remorse, he says he will bring fear. I don't know what our thoughts on that. I don't know. Are we going to be finally seeing a different Miro who's going to be the ass-kicking Miro like he was in WWE where he went undefeated and stuff like that? Or, what do you think about that? He says he wants to bring fear, so...
I mean, in a sense, I feel like people should start fearing Miro because if he can prove... If he can show that killer instinct, like if he can prove to people why he should be feared, then people will fear him. So,
yeah,
like he just, and I'm not saying that like Miro hasn't proven that he can really show off like a killer instinct because he does have a killer instinct.
Yeah,
he
I know
proves
he
it
does.
in the ring. So, but at the same time, his win-loss record and his track record as of late just doesn't really bring a lot to the table, and it doesn't really, back up a lot of his statements of like, oh, I should be feared. Well, why should people fear you if you keep losing?
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping for good things from Miro. It would be cool to see if Bryan Danielson does beat Adam Hangman Page, if Miro could be the next competitor for the world title. Miro, I think, can bring fear, but you're right. I really would like to see him have a better track record in the ring. He's not a terrible wrestler. Certainly isn't the best wrestler in the world, but I hope that Miro can finally find some success in AEW, unlike in WWE, where maybe he can actually showcase that he should have been a WWE, a world champion, a long time ago, type of thing. But moving forward, CM Punk does beat Lee Moriarty. Kind of figured. I mean, Lee came off a nice victory on Dark, but a 2-6 record against a 7-0 at the time record doesn't bode very well for Lee Moriarty.
It just kind of makes me beg the question of like, who or even when is CM Punk's undefeated record going to be broken? Who is going to be the one to break it?
Oh, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I really do think it's going to be MJF that's going to beat CM Punk's record. It makes the most sense. Who better?
MJF some nuclear heel heat.
I mean, that's what you want to have as a heel. You want to have even more heat. But again, I really do think that MJF could be the one that can beat CM Punk. It makes the most sense. It's going to bring him to a whole new level. And I hope that if he does beat CM Punk, it can lead to a title match. I think MJF has really showcased, ever since the losing that match to Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title, that he's well deserving of a title shot. First off, I think it should be for the TNT title. I think him against Sammy would make the most sense. Yeah, I get it. You already saw the whole Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, but you haven't seen it between MJF and Sammy Guevara, just them alone. So I would like to see MJF go after the TNT title, and then eventually maybe go after the AEW World Title again. But right now, I think him going after the TNT title makes a little bit more sense than the World Title. Speaking of MJF and CM Punk, MJF and Punk exchanged some more words, but Punk says he's done with the talking. That's all MJF does is the talking. He's ready to fight. He just wants to fight. He was ready to go down after he says, "Oh, you gotta stop bringing that flea-infested ridden dog with you, because next time I see him, maybe I'll make him go to sleep." CM Punk goes out of the ring, and who ends up going in front of MJF after those words were exchanged? Wardlow. Wardlow literally is MJF's bodyguard at this point. It's kind of sad, but...
Yeah, but what about MJF's rule to Wardlow of having Shawn Spears be the accountability buddy?
I mean, I'll get to that point soon. But I have honestly no idea. But Wardlow does get in front of MJF, saves him from CM Punk. I'm just ready to see CM Punk versus MJF. I really do think it's going to be a good match. And don't be shocked if it happens to be at Winter is Coming. Winter is Coming, because they always seem to stack that card. It's kind of like their specialty event. Like, it's going to be like a pay-per-view like card, I think. So I'm expecting a lot.
It's essentially a super card on Dynamite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Call
Going
it a
forward,
super card of honor, if you will.
Riho, or Jamie Hayter, kind of throws some shots at Britt Baker. Britt Baker was like, "Oh well, where were you?" Or no, Tony Schiavone was in the back with Britt Baker, Riho, or Jamie Hayter and Rebel, not Reba, Rebel. And then Tony Schiavone asked Jamie Hayter, "Oh, where were you for the Friendsgiving?" And then she's like, "Well, I was getting ready for a match." And then Britt Baker's like, "What, you lost?" And then Jamie Hayter kind of threw a shot at Britt Baker saying, "Well, didn't you went up against Thunder Rosa, which you lost?" I was like, "Oh, damn, they're throwing shots at each other." And then Rebel's like,
I think it's leading
"Ooh."
to Jamie Hayter potentially turning on Britt Baker and wanting to go after the women's title.
Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. I think that's a great way to have it happen. And I would like to see Jamie Hayter beat Britt Baker for the title.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think, me personally, you still have to build up Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, I think so too. But Riho, of all people, Riho is going to go up against Jamie Hayter.
What you could do for Jamie Hayter is, if not give her a world title match, just give her a one-on-one against Britt Baker.
Yeah, true. Riho is going to go up against Jamie Hayter next week on Dynamite. Who do you think will win that match?
Riho.
Yeah, of course. I think it's going to be Riho. I think they're going to build her back up, which is probably the right thing to do, because you really haven't seen her do much. I think you're going to build her back up, and you're going to have her go up against Britt Baker. Not exactly going to probably beat Britt Baker, but at least it's going to look good heading into that match. Because I think Riho should probably be used a little bit more often. You have her on the women's division. There's 2 women's world titles that are going to be coming soon.
I agree they should use her more. She's a former women's champion.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. She's, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure she was the first ever AEW women's champion.
Yeah, she is the inaugural women's champion.
Because I hate to say it, you really haven't been doing much with the AEW Women's World Title ever since the TBS tournament has been implemented. You've been focusing more with that. But,
I can agree with that.
Moving forward, Adam Cole ends up coming out and is on commentary because apparently JR was home,
Yes,
not
he
feeling
is.
very.
He will be missing a couple of weeks of Dynamite due to skin cancer. He is getting radiation treatment for it.
Please
Get well soon, JR.
Yeah, please get well soon, JR. So Adam Cole came out to be on commentary for a little bit, but it was not really for long as Orange Cassidy came out, did the whole, had his hands up, put it in his pockets, and then the Young Bucks come out behind Adam Cole as they pretend that they're...
I did see that clip.
Oh, behind Orange Cassidy as they pretend that they're still not medically cleared, but they toy with him with the whole kicks.
The fake super kicks, and then
they super kick him.
Yes.
And then then afterwards Adam Cole low blows him, and the Young Bucks kick him, and then the best friends come out to join Orange Cassidy. I am really liking what they are doing with the whole Super Click and the best friends and Orange Cassidy. I think it's going to lead to a match at Winter is Coming as well. I think you're going to see a 6-man tag team match. I'm all for it. The Young Bucks are going to be back in action, speaking of it. They're actually going to take on Wheeler Yuta and Chuck Taylor. We are going to see the Young Bucks back in action. I'm definitely ready for it.
Well,
Young Bucks have been literally out since the last pay-per-view there.
Are you sure it's Wheeler Yuta and not Rocky Romero?
Oh, no, it is Rocky Romero.
Yeah. Yeah, because I saw that match card. I saw that.
Yes. Okay, I was wrong.
Young Bucks versus Rocky Romero and Chuck Taylor. So, Chaos coming together to face the Young Bucks.
That's what they were saying. Chaos is going to be together and go up against
yeah, but if you ask
Young
me,
Bucks.
It's too bad that Trent isn't medically cleared still, because then you would get basically Roppongi Vice.
Well, no, you would have gotten the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent versus Young Bucks.
See, if Trent were cleared, then you would be able to have Rocky Romero and Trent team up, and then you would basically get a Roppongi Vice reunion.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but...
Which would have been cool, because Roppongi Vice was cool.
But honestly, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing those two, factions in a way go up against each other. Because, you gotta do something new with Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. But honestly, I'm ready for that. I definitely am. Speaking of Wardlow and Shawn Spears, Wardlow beats AC Adams, which is just some local jobber at this point. Shawn Spears, Wardlow's accountability buddy, ends up coming in and beating him down after the match. I mean, Wardlow just looks strong again. They were even saying on commentary if Wardlow could just go on his own and not, be with MGF, I think that he would look really good as a singles competitor. And honestly, I happen to agree. I really do think that Wardlow, if he was to branch off away from MGF, which honestly wouldn't shock me if it could happen, would honestly be a really, really good singles competitor. You know that?
Yeah.
I think so. So, found this interesting. So, Rey Fenix is actually hurt right now. So, Pac had to actually be the switcheroo for Rey Fenix in their match against FTR, which we will talk about that a little bit later, as it was on Rampage. And no, we did not get no AEW World Tag Team title match or a 2 out of 3 falls match, which I thought was crazy. I think it should have still been a 2 out of 3 falls match, regardless if it was Pac or Rey Fenix. And I'm actually shocked it wasn't still for the tag team titles, because Pac is still part with them in the Death Triangle, and because of the faction rules, he should have still been able to technically put the title on the line.
Freebird rules.
So I was like, what the hell? Like, How the hell could they still
I guess
not?
I can understand why they wouldn't implement Freebird rules in that sense, because the Lucha Brothers are the tag team champions and not Death Triangle.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So, Pac will actually be in play. Was actually in place for Ray Phoenix because he was hurt. Darby Sting. We finally got to see Sting in action.
Yeah.
As he teamed up with Darby Allin to go up against the Gun Club. Honestly, can we talk about for a sec, man, the face paint that Sting and Darby had?
I did see that.
Looked so nice, so fresh. I wish Sting could do that a little bit more often. Because, I'm sorry, nothing against the face paint that he always has. Yeah. But if he could change it every once in a while,
that was some cool looking
that
face
was some
paint.
cool looking
I did see that one.
Face paint. I kind of like the team of Darby and Sting. It just makes the most sense to have them team up with each other because they both have the face paint. They just have
such a great dynamic, too.
Exactly. So,
they mesh well with one another.
Sting and Darby beat them, but honestly, I don't think their whole rivalry is done and over with yet. I don't think so. But then again, I could be wrong. But it was nice to see the Scorpion Death drop. Again, going forward, 2.0 apparently is not done with Chris Jericho as they beat him down. What do we think this will lead to? I think it'll lead to, if not Inner Circle versus Chris Jericho and like an Inner Circle member against 2.0, or Chris Jericho and Eddie somehow teaming up in a weird way to go up against 2.0.
I mean, we've said it last week that it could potentially lead to Jericho and Eddie Kingston teaming up, which honestly, and I've said it last week as well.
Because
it
right
wouldn't
now,
make a lot of sense because Chris Jericho is part of Inner Circle.
I know, but you really haven't even seen the Inner Circle on television.
I don't even really think you have a choice in the matter of because not for nothing, Eddie Kingston needs somebody to save him, or at least not save him, but in the sense of they need somebody to basically just watch over him while he's doing this. So
right, exactly. So I would like to see Jericho and Eddie team up as like a one-off against 2.0 and just get it done and over with them. I don't know when it'll exactly be. Probably winter is coming. I don't know. But it's definitely going to be leading into a match. I mean, you wouldn't just have them beating down Chris Jericho every week.
Right.
If it didn't lead into a match eventually. But what I found interesting, Taz kind of brings up the Steiner math in a way because the Dynamite Dozen ring tournament Battle Royal is actually going to be this coming later tonight. We will see the Battle Royal, and MJF also says on commentary how he is going to be a three-time Dynamite Dozen ring winner. Could happen, could not be. The reason
you mentioned Steiner math.
The whole thing with Steiner math is because he says most of Team Taz will be in it, and they have apparently a 125% chance of winning. And he said the whole famous
Did he say the 33 1/3?
No, he didn't. But
okay.
he said the whole thing. The numbers
don't lie.
The numbers don't lie.
God.
Yes. So what I heard was
they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Samoa Joe and you know that statement is not true. I don't want to recite the whole Steiner Math promo, but even then, if you have not seen the Steiner Math promo, I'm sure it's on YouTube or Facebook.
If you watch Dynamite, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with Taz on that. But who knows? It could be a member of Team Taz that wins it. I just don't want to see fucking MJF win it for a third time. Like, take that damn ring off of him. Like,
yeah,
he's bigger and better than that damn ring. Honestly,
yes,
not gonna lie.
If that's his only accomplishment of he just keeps winning the Dynamite Diamond ring every year, then what are you really doing with MJF?
But Leo Rush comes out and is like, Taz, I'm a fighter. Even if it means I have 1% chance, I'm not gonna go down without a fight.
What is with that Steiner Math stuff? Like, why?
So
They
he
just-
says that he will not go down without a fight in the Battle Royal. Who knows? I would love to see Leo Rush win it all. That'd be cool.
It would definitely make him a lot more money because he always brags about being a moneymaker.
Well, Leo Rush is on his own, so I would like to see him, win it. But honestly, don't be shocked if it leads to something in the Battle Royal and then somehow Leo Rush gets involved with a storyline with Team Taz. Because I kind of think that it's coming. We said it here before. It wouldn't shock me if Darius Martin finally makes a return and teams up with Leo Rush to go up against Dante Martin. And I'm going to say this. Dante Martin, probably Ricky Starks. That would make the most sense because who was out there to confront Leo Rush in the first place was Dante Martin and Ricky Starks. So I'm thinking there's going to be something that's going to happen with that.
Me personally, I think you should get Hook in the ring.
And how do you start that all? The Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. That's where you start it. That's where you start that whole big old rivalry. It makes the most sense. Most of Team Taz is in there. Leo Rush is going to be in there. What better way to start this whole shebang, this whole feud, which kind of already has started off already, is in the Battle Royal. So, Thunder Rosa says she will commentate Jade Cargill's match against her student. Her student was in the match against Jade Cargill on Rampage. We will talk about that a little bit later. But she will be there because Chris Jericho was not medically cleared to be on the commentary booth because he got beaten down by 2.0.
Yeah.
So,
Medically cleared.
going forward, Ruby Soho beats Chris Statlander to move on to face Nyla Rose in the TBS title tournament.
I did see the clip from that match where Chris Statlander kicked out of the move and Ruby's eyes just bugged out.
Yes, yeah. Oh my God, they were about to bug out of
People
her
have
damn
already
head.
made memes of it.
So Chris Statlander, I'm kind of okay with her losing in the TBS tournament because now she can probably focus on the AEW World Women's title.
I think
We'll have to see what happens with that because
I think it's long overdue for Chris Statlander.
I really do think so too. I think that she needs to go after
She
that
should have
world
beat
title.
Britt, to tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
I agree. See, I don't understand why they didn't have that happen because if you're just gonna have her lose in a TBS title tournament, then what was the whole point of her losing to Britt Baker if you're probably gonna end up having her go up against Britt Baker, again, but this time probably for the title. Who the hell knows? I don't know.
This time for the title, and this time actually have her win it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Cody Rhodes ends up beating Andrade El Idolo in a Atlanta street fight, and man, that whole flaming table spot, damn, that was crazy. Because who comes in the ring with the hooded? Oh, who better than Brandy Rhodes herself, lighting up the table with the lighter fluid and then using the lighter. First time we have seen a lighted table in any kind of wrestling since the ECW days.
No. Since Extreme Rules 2014, Daniel Bryan and Kane.
Okay. So
that was probably the
7
last
years.
time you saw a flaming table spot, just in general. So
It's crazy to think that, they had that spot, but the match itself was really, really good. Back and forth action, a couple of table spots. They ripped up the mat there. Cody Rhodes was big time, showing blood. They took it to each other in that match. So it was probably one of the better main events. Can we just say that Cody Rhodes just puts on some damn good matches with whatever opponent he is? He is a very underrated wrestler. And it sucks that he gets booed. But you know what? I know something? For once, in his hometown, he did not get booed. It was actually
of course
refreshing.
It's gonna be in his hometown,
It was
but he didn't
actually
get
refreshing
booed.
that he didn't get booed. I hope that it's going to be like that going forward for him. Probably not. But, again, Cody Rhodes does get the victory.
Me personally, I don't understand why he gets booed. That's just me.
I don't know either. I probably just because they're sick and tired of him getting shown on AEW. But he's still putting on great matches every week.
See, that's the difference between, say, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Is yes, Cody Rhodes is being prominently featured on television, but he puts on bangers of matches.
Oh, I know.
I mean, to be fair, Roman can put on bangers of matches. It really just depends on the opponent that they give him. But it's the same booking basically for Roman Reigns. He just gets prominently featured on TV, and then
so
people hate him because basically WWE is just.
I don't know who Cody Rhodes will be really going after going forward. I mean, he's still involved with Malachi. He's still involved with Andrade. Pac is involved with that as well. So I don't know what's going to go on with that going forward. But at least for now, Cody Rhodes does not have to deal with Andrade El Idolo anymore as he beats him. And then Arn Anderson and Jose was actually, beating up each other too.
Not a good idea to beat up on a man with a Glock.
Nope, not at all.
Armed Anderson will point that thing at you and spill your brains on the concrete.
Now,
been doing that since the 80s, brother.
Sammy Guevara ends up going up against Tony Nese in the beginning match of Rampage. Tony Nese actually did look pretty damn good in that match, I won't lie.
Still,
your TNT champion is Sammy Guevara. He retains against Tony Nese. Just makes you think that...
As Bruce Buffer would say, and still,
yes,
the AEW TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. I figured...
Well, Tony Nese, I hope that he gets shown more on Rampage and Dynamite because he does have a bright future in AEW. He can actually showcase why he is the premier athlete, unlike when he was in WWE.
I mean, don't get me wrong. WWE, they only relegated him to the Cruiserweight division, but damn it, did he make the most out of being put in that position. Same with when Buddy Matthews was there. Granted, yes, he eventually moved on to Raw and SmackDown, but it didn't really do anything for him. When he was the Cruiserweight champion, man, Buddy Murphy at the time was pulling out banger after banger after. The man even won. I'm pretty sure he won the Cruiserweight Championship in his hometown at that Super Showdown that they had in Australia, not the Saudi Arabia Super Showdown.
Yeah. Jade Cargill is up next, going up against Thunder Rosa's student, which we were stating.
Who is her student?
I forgot. It was some barefooted.
Oh, okay.
Lady.
I was going to say, it's not Holly Dead, is it? Because
No.
Holly Dead is her sister. Or their, undead sister. They had a thing going on.
No, it was her, an actual student that she was training.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. I didn't write down who it actually was.
So it wasn't Mia Khalifa then?
No.
Because they kind of were training at one point.
No. Jade Cargill ends up being Thunder Rosa's student. Then Thunder Rosa and Jay want to fight because they are going up against each other in the TBS tournament semifinals. So it is, in the finals, it is Ruby Soho versus
Jade Cargill.
Versus Ruby Soho versus Nyla Rose, and also Jade Cargill versus Thunder Rosa.
Ah, okay.
So
those are the semifinals, which will lead to the finals, which will determine the first ever TNT champion. Who do we think it's going to be?
You mean a TBS champion?
Or
First ever TBS champion.
First
Who,
ever
wh-
TBS champion.
who do I think it will be in the finals?
Well, just who do you think is going to win?
Win it all?
Win it all. I think it's going to be Jade Cargill. I don't think. But
Honestly,
at the same time, we could be
I
surprised.
really do think that Ruby Soho is going to upset Nyla Rose. And I think Jade Cargill is going to upset Thunder Rosa. I mean, it would make the most sense. Because, you still have another women's world title that can be out there to be utilized. But as far as that, I think that Ruby Soho could win it all.
I just hope that with them bringing in the TBS title, that they don't, overlook the women's world title.
I hope not either, honestly.
Because, that tends to happen a lot with, these, with these titles, and especially when you have too many. Some titles just get overlooked, and it's don't shift your focus on this other championship that you have, especially in the women's division. It's it just feels like right now that the women's world title, the world women's title, is being overlooked by the TBS championship, and it's that should not be the case. But I understand why they are doing it right now, because they want the TBS championship to actually feel like something special, which, don't get me wrong, it is something special. But at the same time, you also have that world women's title, which is special in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were saying in the next thing, Young Bucks want the best friends. Well, actually, they wanted the best friends in the return. They're getting, like we said. So, going into the main event, I found this interesting. FTR actually beats Pac and Pena El Cerro Miedo with the help of Malachi Black as he poison Miss Pac in his good eye.
No.
Blinds him. He had a patch on the one eye. Now he gets poison mist in the other eye.
So I guess you could say it's long-term storytelling in a sense, because when he was still in WWE, they did the whole thing with Malachi when he was still Aleister Black and he had the eye patch. So I guess in a sense it was kind of long-term storytelling, and now...
Well, he was also trying to gouge out Pac's eye, and he had some of Pac's blood on there, but blood.
Well, yeah. But, yeah.
Again, I mean, I'm definitely... So that means FTR and Malachi Black are probably going to get the full Death Triangle eventually.
Yeah.
As that whole feud is not done and over with.
Nope.
So I'm all for it. I'm all for Death Triangle versus FTR and Malachi Black. It makes the most sense.
It'd be a good program there.
Yeah, it'd be a nice little program. I think it's something fresh for both squads. But honestly, going forward, that will be the conclusion of this episode of No Final Bell. Please make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Don't forget to watch Sports Talk every Sunday at 9 a.m. Bryan and I always are talking about football, baseball, any kind of sport that's out there right now. Please like, comment, subscribe for, that channel. And as always, don't forget to watch your favorite wrestling fans here, as we will always talk about what's hot and trendy and fresh in the wrestling world. As always, everybody, see you later.